everybody. This is going to be a little bit different of a video than I usually make because I have been learning how to solder jewelry. I highly recommend this book. It's by Kate Ferrant-Richborg, and it has a lot of little lessons in here to teach you everything that you need, and basically you come up with a sampler in the end. So I've been using some of those lessons, and I want to just come on over here to show you some of the things that I've been doing. I'm attempting to do something a little different because normally you solder jewelry metal to metal, but I'm actually using the solder as part of my design, and I'm also using a Dremel to engrave. So this is a pair of angel wings. This is a little different. It's a horse that I made for a fundraiser that's coming up. And I like to make natural things like this. This is a whale tail, and these little circular coils are becoming a little bit of a signature for my work. Here's a cross that has 3 of those circles in it. Here's another cross. I'm attempting to make a lot of spiritual things. So when the angels are in the solder, or the solder becomes the angel, it's very hard to control the solder, so it's very spontaneous and artistic in terms of how it might turn out. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Here's one that's a whale tail. So anyway, those are a few pieces that I've made so far, and so we're going to come over here to my desk. Oh, and there's of course Harper, who always helps me do things. Here's a couple of basic things that I have in my setup. This piece of wood is actually something instrumental because I use it when I pound out the metal, and I use this very heavy piece of metal. And if I want to work with the metal first to make it have a texture, I put it on here, not on my lap. I'm usually on the floor. And I take a hammer that has a texturing piece on it like this, and then I can hammer it like this. It'd be awfully loud if I did it right now. So I'm just going to show you that here's what I start with. I start with metal pieces like this, and then I score them off. So here's the metal pieces, silver, copper. I score it off and I cut them into these squares. Now these squares are relatively sharp on the edges, and if you want to come in a little closer if you want, I don't know how it's being framed, but here's some of the squares, and nothing is to waste. So as I'm cutting around things, I'm even saving those little pieces. These are my coils that I make out of about 18, I think, or 20 gauge wire. And then these pieces become pieces that look more like this, where they're rounded off at the edges, which become then pieces that look like this with a texture on the background. I don't know how well you can see that. So the way that we get this to be filed off is I use this little grinder over here, and using the grinder, you have to be careful. Shot glasses are a good idea, and also a glove because it heats up. But basically you just turn on your grinder, and then you so see how I've rounded off that corner? Okay, so I would go and grind kind of like at a 45-degree angle on each side, and flip that around and do it again. And I would work on it for, it probably takes about 20 minutes or so to make a fully, and that's a hot piece of metal right now, and I just put it in my hand. So, but when it's all done, it'll look like this. Now, those edges on that grinder are still going to be too rough, so what I would have to do is take a file, and I have several different kinds, and then you just file it like this, and kind of again at a 45-degree angle to try to get it nice and smooth. So you just keep feeling it until it's smooth. If the piece becomes uneven, I have different things for that. Like this is a mallet that's not going to harm the metal because it's rubber here, and you can pound it down so that it becomes flat again. All right, so here's basically what I do. When I want to make an angel, now I just made this one, so I'm going to put her over there. The piece has to be nice and clean, and I use flux. Now I bought this flux at Michael's and I don't like it. So this one I bought at Lowe's and I do like it. So Lowe's or Home Depot would have it. And flux just helps your solder to flow. So in this little idea that I have, which is kind of unique, and I haven't really learned this from that book or anything, but when I learned how solder works, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually kind of draw with the solder? So what I'm doing here is I'm putting the flux on in such a way where maybe an angel shape will come out of it. So I'm not sure if you can kind of see that little angel in there, but we're gonna try to make that into an angel. So now I'm gonna take this soldering wire. This is lead-free and it's a silver solder. So I'm going to cut some shapes. Here's, and I've gotten kind of, creative with the shapes. This is so thick that sometimes I've even split it, and so maybe to help the solder flow the way that I want it to. So let's say, for example, that would be the wing, all right? And now I'm going to put a couple pieces down for the body, and so that might be the body, and then I'm going to put another piece for the head. Now this solder, I have a certain idea in my brain, but it's not going to really probably react the way that I totally want it to. I've never really made an angel all at once. It takes a little bit of creative thinking in the process. So here we go with, let's just give it a try. So the first thing I do is I take my butane lighter. It's, well, torch, I guess, not lighter. And I put it on continuous flow, and I'm gonna heat that metal up first. And then I'm gonna come in for the solder to just kind of melt and do its thing. All right, so this is what we have so far. And this is very hot metal, and I can quench it, but because I'm gonna keep working on it, I'm not gonna quench it yet. I kind of almost like that one already without even doing anything more. But I think maybe what I'll do, because let's just say that does kind of look like an angel already. And it's possible that when I add on my little signature coil, if I put the coil here, it could work, or here. What do you think? These are the kind of decisions that you make when you're doing this. Or I can try to put a little bit more solder to fill in that wing. So this is how you'll feel when you're doing your soldering this way. Again, I'm using the solder as an art medium rather than like to solder two pieces of metal together at this point. So I'm going to put that there, and maybe it'll get a little bit thicker for us. And I don't really like it to be, yeah. I think I need a little bit more butane in here, so. So that's all you need to fill up your butane lighter. So this is what we have right now. I'm not sure that I like this part right here, but I don't know, I might be able to make it work. All right, so I'm gonna add my little signature piece onto here, and I I can either put it here or both places, because if I put it on top of there, maybe that'll melt down. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna put just a little bit more flux right there to make that flow. And I'm going to attempt to put this here. So let's go with that. Okay, that brought the wing out a little bit more. Okay, there's one more thing I'm gonna do on here, I think. Well, two more things, I think, because, oops, sorry about that. But that's a real hot piece of metal right now. I'm gonna try to make that head a little bit more distinct. And so we're gonna go with a piece right there. And I want it to be just maybe a little bit less. So I'm gonna take that down. Okay, so there's a way to solder and make a ball. And so watch this. See the ball that happened? Now that ball kind of moved off center of where I wanted it to be, and it's already attached. So this is where you have to keep examining what you're doing to say, oh, what else could I do to make this kind of come together as an angel? At this point, because I wanted that ball to be up a little bit, but I could go with any more of a thing there. Let's see here. What do you think? It's hard to... You have any ideas there, camera person?
It kind of looks like a golf hole.
A golf hole?
If you look at it diagonally, like this, the top, this bottom, it looks like a flag, and that's the golf ball.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. I could make something for a golfer right here. I'm gonna attempt to do that.
Okay.
We're gonna bring that up a little bit.
That was cool though to see the ball.
Yeah. Well. All right, so that's okay, because this is what happens. I'm actually going to take that other ball away, and now we're going to attempt to make another one. Okay, that's how this just goes. Hopefully now, see how hot that is. It's sizzling there. And if I can get a ball to stay there, that would be perfect. If I can't, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. So this is just a little bit too big. So we're going to turn my golf club into an angel. This is where every single piece is just very, very unique. I have no idea with each one how it's eventually going to look, but they have all turned into their own little angel at some point. So there we go. There's that at the top. And I think I'm going to add, just to make this a bit more. Now it seems like there's a hump on that angel, so I'm going to add a little bit more here on this side of the wing. Okay, and that's okay. Look at, all right, that's perfect. This is where if you keep working at it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve the feathers into this part of the wing, and there's the head. Got my little signature there, and then when I squelch it there, now I can touch it. It cools off right away. I'll show you just real quick here, and I don't know if you can kind of zoom in on it or not, but I'll show you how I kind of carve the solder after I'm done there. Okay, All right, were you able to see that? Or
A
not?
little bit.
A little bit. So, again, now, if you can see, this angel's wing is here, and it's got the feathers in it, and that kind of thing. Now, this has flux all over it, so it's real sticky. I have to clean it up. I have over here what they call the pickle juice. Pickle, it's actually acid made up of the Sparx, and I'll probably soak it in there for a little bit. But I will have to show you, oh, I don't know if I got this to stick earlier. There are a couple things that have to be done to this now in terms of polishing it up and that kind of thing. And, well, this is not sticking, so I guess I can't show you. So, hold on. Come on. Okay. Oh, well, that didn't work. Well, anyway, that spins around, and it will shine this up nice like that. But I also, over here on this, I have my buffing wheel, and I'll shine it up there as well. And of course, then I'll punch my little hole in it, and then it'll be a nice little necklace. So that is my spiritual jewelry that I'm making. Mostly it will be crosses and angels and some things that are of nature, like whales and birds and animals and things like that. So hope you enjoyed my video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.